Good day to you all. Welcome to Metric Hub. Today I'm going to do a revision on sales management N6 November 2024 full paper. Right. So let's go to question 1, which is in section A. Right. Various options are given as possible answers to the following questions. Choose the answer and write only the letter A to D next to the question number. 1.1 to 1.10 in the answer book. Right. Question 1.1. One of the characteristics of a successful salesperson is right, which is the answer is C. C. A successful salesperson is supposed to be enthusiastic. Right. Let's go to question 1.2. Unit of command refers to, right, unit of command, we're talking about the number reporting to only one manager, right? Unit of command, right, refers to each individual reporting only to one senior, which is B, right, which is B. Let's go to 1.3. A product or service-oriented sales organization is appropriate when, right? So we're talking about product-oriented, we need to say they are more focused on products, right? They are more focused on products and not on what task-oriented or production-oriented, right? So a product service-oriented sales organization is appropriate when it is appropriate when a company frequently introduces new products. That's A. That's A. Right. Let's go to 1.4. Job description refers to right. It is an accurate written description of the duties and responsibilities of the incumbent of a position. That's C, right? An accurate written description of the duties and responsibilities of a person who will be occupying a certain position. That's what we call a job description. Let's go to 1.5. One of the disadvantages of recruiting from a competitor is that, right, when you're recruiting from a competitor, it means that for a competitor means that maybe you're recruiting from another company, another company that sells or that operates in the same industry as your company. So what is the disadvantages of recruiting from a competitor? One, the disadvantage is, right, it is the answer A. It provides the recruiting firm with the detailed information of its competitors, which becomes a what? A disadvantage. It provides the recruiting firm with detailed information of its competitor, right? So let's go to question. The answer is A, right? Let's go to question 6, right? An advertisement is an open advertisement if it is an open advertisement if it reveals the name and address of the interviewer. It becomes an open advertisement, right? When it reveals the name and the address of the interviewer, it becomes an open advertisement, right? Let's go to 1.7. An example of external recruitment is, right, external recruitment. Company newsletter is an internal. Recruitment agencies is external. Company emails is internal, and company notice board is internal. So the answer is B. B. Recruitment agencies. These are external recruitment. Right? This is what we call external recruitment sources. Right. Let's move on to question 1.8. Which one of the following is a recruiting activity? Right. A recruiting activity, it is when we do screening. right? Whereby it is a process of what? Of what? Of screening candidates or eliminating candidates who do not meet the job requirement, right? That's what we call screening, right? Let's move on to 1.9. Non-mandatory motivational tools or techniques includes non-mandatory. It has nothing to do with money. It has nothing to do with what? Money incentives. So non-monetary motivational tools or techniques include, right? So it includes on-the-job training, opportunities for promotion. That's correct, which is B, right? On-the-job training is what? Is monetary. Marketing cost is also monetary. Constant supervision is also monetary, but non-monetary is opportunities for promotion. When one is motivated to work so that he can get an opportunity to be promoted to a higher position. Right, let's go to 1.10. One example of a fringe benefit is, right, fringe benefits are those benefits that the employee gets because he's working for the organization, right? So one of the example of a fringe benefit includes housing subsidy. When you are given maybe something, a certain amount of money for accommodation, right? That's what we call a housing subsidy, right? A certain amount of money which is allocated to what? To housing, right? Let's go to question 2. Question 2. Let's go to question 2. Right. Indicate whether the following statements are true or false by writing only true or false next to the question number. Right. So geographic specification is appropriate when clients are widely diversified or dispersed. Right. That's true. When clients are dispersed, we use what we call geographical specialization. We specialize according to the location or to the geographical placement, right? That's true. Right. Let's go to 2.2. Personal interviews can be regarded as a two-way conversation that is aimed at exchanging more detailed information. That's true. That's true. Personal interview, whereby a person is required to be present in an interview, right? Whereby face-to-face communication is what? Is effective, right? Let's go to 2.3. Knowledge about the selling process and selling techniques is essential in sales training. Knowledge about the selling process and the selling techniques is essential in sales training. Is it essential? That's true. It is very important when you are training sales representatives. The answer is true. Right. Let's go to the next question, right, which is question 3. Question 3. Right. Choose a term from column B that matches a description in column A. Write only the number A to K next to the question number 3.1 to 3.10. Right. So let's go. Right. Delegation, task, and responsibility to the lower level management. We call it what? Which later matches with delegation, right? Is what you call hierarchy of what? Of authority. Hierarchy of authority. 3.1. 3.1. Hierarchy of authority, which is C. When tasks are delegated to the lower level management. Let's go to 3.2. An advantage of a sales force organized according to the product specification, right? Or call it a product knowledge, right? Which is E, right? And then let's go to 3.3. 3.3. A consideration when choosing a method of compensation, we call it cost. We consider cost when we choose a method of compensation, right? And then let's go to 3.4. 3.4. An effective salesperson can do this. What can an effective salesperson do? He remain competitive in the industry. That's D. He remains competitive in the industry. Let's go to 3.5. A method to evaluate the effectiveness of sales training. A method to evaluate the effectiveness of self-training, sales training. We call it closely observing salesperson in the field. That's I. That's a method of what? Of evaluating the effectiveness of what? Of sales training, to observing them closely when they are in the field. Let's go to 3.6. A recruitment source. Which one is a recruitment source? Right, which is in the internet, which is F, is a recruitment source. We see many posts, right, on the internet. We see many posts on the internet, right, popping in, right. So let's move on to 3.8. 3.8. An advantage of an attractive compensation package. An advantage of an attractive compensation package, right? What does it do? Right. G, recognition for excellent performance. That's an advantage of what? Of an attractive compensation package, right? Which is G. Let's go to 3.9. 3.9. A typical input performance standard. A typical input performance standard, which is a number of new accounts obtained, right? Performance standard, a number of new accounts obtained, right? Let's go to 3.10. 3.110. 3.110, right? Familiarizing new salesperson with the company, right? That's what we call induction. That's what we call induction, which is B. When you're familiarizing the new salesperson with the company, we call it induction. Induction. That's an induction. That's an induction, right? So let's move on to section B. Section B, right? Section B, right? Question 4. Letaba Private Limited manufacturing building and roofing equipment. The business started in 1994 when South Africa was entering into democracy. It focuses on producing quality products and was the main supplier of building equipment whenever the government wanted to build free housing for the people of South Africa. However, they have not been selling as many products as they would have liked and have lost market share due to COVID-19 and lack of marketing strategies to keep the business going during the pandemic. They have approached you as a marketing expert to give them advice and to help them to become productive as soon as possible. Right. Let's go to 4.1. 4.1. 4.1. 4.1. Right. One of your duties at Letaba Private Limited is to analyze the company's overall sales volume, right? Name 5 ways in which you could analyze sales volume. So we're going to write ways in which one could analyze the sales volume. You can use market share. You can use market share. You can also use total sales figure to analyze the sales volume. You can also use sales according to product. Sales according to product. You can use sales according to product. You can also use sales according to territory. Sales according to territory. You can also use sales according to the type of clients. According to the type of client. The types of clients. Right. So let's move on to question 4.2. 4.2. Right. Name 4 bases for analyzing marketing cost. Let me repeat. Name 4 bases for analyzing marketing cost. Right. So we are going to just list the basis for analyzing the marketing cost. Right. You can analyze the cost using ledger accounts or not. So you can use it according to ledger account or according to the product, the basis that you can use to analyze according to product, or you can use it according to territories, or it might be according to ledger accounts, ledger accounts. You can use it according to ledger accounts. According to ledger accounts. Or you can use according to classification of activities. According to activity classification. Right. So these are the basis for analyzing market cost. You can analyze according to the product, according to the territories, according to ledger accounts, according to activity classification. Right. So let's move on to 4.3. 4.3. Right. What are the main characteristics of an effective sales performance evaluation that you focus on? Right. Main characteristics. So we're going to list the main characteristics of an effective sales promotion evaluation. Right. So you can find that one of the characteristics is it motivates people. Right. Like it motivates a salesperson. It motivates salesperson. It also allows participation. It allows participation. It also requires commitment. It requires commitment. And it is also realistic. And reliable. It is also reliable and valid. It is also reliable and valid. Right. Let's go to 4.4. 4.4. Right. Name 4.4. Name for input performance standards. So you're supposed to name input performance standards, right? I'm going to list them here. 4.4. Right. You can find that there should be time it takes to cover sales activities. And also number of kilometers traveled per salesperson. The sales value, right? And also the number of working days. The number of working days per salesperson. A sales period. Right. And the number of days of training. Meetings. Right. And lastly, cost incurred in securing new clients. Cost incurred in securing new clients. Right. So let's go to question 4.5. 4.5. List 5 factors that determine the type of sales organization. We're going to list 5 factors determining the type of sales organization. Right. 4.5. Right. So we have 1, the company long-term objective. The size of the firm or the company, the geographical location, location of the firm, of the firm's clients. It might be the type of distribution channel, type of distribution channel, type of distribution channel, distribution channel, right, used by the firm. And lastly, the cost of the policy. The cost policy of the firm. Right. So let's move on to 4.6. Discuss any two types of specialization. Right. So specialization can be according to geographic organization or according to the product. 4.6. The first one that we are going to discuss is according to the geographic organization. According to the geographic organization. Right. So here a firm is given the responsibility to sell its product to all people within a specific geographical location or sales territory. Right. That's what you call geographical organization, whereby the firm is given the responsibility to sell all of its product to all people within a specific geographic location, right? And then it also can be according to the product, according to the product, right? So whereby, or a service, whereby a firm, right? So when a company frequently introduces new products, right, to the clients, when a company introduces or frequently introduces new products, right, to the clients, so that when its product line becomes very large or complex or diversified, demanding individualized product knowledge and client attention, right? So let's move on to the next question, which is question 5. Question 5. Right. Study the picture below and answer the following questions. How a structured interview process helps you hire the right candidate? Right. So this is there's an interviewer and the interviewee. There's an interviewer and the interview. So this one is the interviewer, who is the sender. And this one is the interviewee, who is the person who has come for the interview. Right. So this is the scenario. Right. So let's go to 5.1. 5.1. Name 5 advantages of internal recruitment. Right. The advantages of internal recruitment include that it is very cheap. It is cheap. You don't need to design and say and use the recruitment media to send the advertisement, right? And also usually it requires less training since the person is already within the organization. So you'll be trained in that specific position that he was promoted. And also it boosts sales morale, or staff morale is boosted because they feel that if you work hard, you can get a promotion. And also, it improves the staff loyalty. It improves staff loyalty. They'll become loyal. Loyalty for the company. And lastly, it also increases the company growth. It increases the company growth. Right. Let's go to 5.2. 5.2. Right. Before the interview, the interviewer should prepare him or herself well. But both of them, they're supposed to prepare themselves well. Describe 10 important aspects that should form part of the preparation, right? So here, both of them, you can give 5 for each, the interviewer and the interviewee, right? Right. So how can, on the part of the interviewer, interviewer, right? So you're supposed to make sure that the venue is properly prepared. Venue is properly prepared. Supposed to make sure that the venue is prepared properly, right? And also, you're supposed to be sure that there are no interruptions. Supposed to ensure no interruptions. Supposed to make sure that there is no interruptions, right? And you're supposed to make sure that he has information regarding the client at hand. Should have information about the client or the applicant at hand. Right? At hand. Supposed to make sure that information is available. Right. And he should welcome the interviewer. Should welcome the interviewer. Right. And also, is supposed to make sure that he asks inclusive questions. Inclusive questions. And also, ensure that the interviewee understands the question. Should ensure that the interviewee understood. Supposed to make sure that the interviewer understood the question. Right. He is supposed also to make sure that the interviewee ensure that the interviewee is at ease. The interviewee is at ease. Right. It's supposed also to ensure that the applicant is rated, supposed to rate the applicant. Right. It's supposed to also ensure that the interviewer should also indicate that the interview has been concluded. Should indicate, supposed to indicate that the interview has been concluded. Supposed to make sure that it concludes the interview. Right. So these are the 10 important aspects that form the preparation of the interview. Right. So let's go to 5.3. Training is important after the right candidate has been appointed. Training is important after the right candidate has been appointed. State the 5 advantages of centralized training. Right. 5.3. 5.3. Advantages of a centralized training. 5.3. Right. So you can find that it is more sophisticated. It is also essential when more sophisticated facilities and equipment. It also venues and saves time. It saves time. It saves time. And also, it is conducted by highly skilled, full-time trainers. All right, with years of experience. Right, and you can find that sales trainees get opportunity to become more equipped with the head office or acquainted with the head office. Sales trainees get opportunities to become more acquainted with the head office. And lastly, sales trainees from different branches and sales areas will get to know each other. Sales trainees from different branches and sales areas get to know each other they will get to know each other. Right. Well, let's move on to 5.4. State 5 general training objectives. State 5 general training objectives. 5.4. We're going to write the general training objectives. 1, to improve morale. The reason for training is to improve morale of what? Of staff, right? And also to increase productivity. It is also done to improve management of time, management of time, as well as to decrease direct self-supervision. To decrease direct supervision. Right. And lastly, to establish the best possible sales system. To establish the best possible sales system. We need training in order to do that. Right. So let's move on to question 6, which is the last question. Right. I'm afraid unless you can show proof you are employed by God, I will have to deny this claim. Workers' compensation. Question 6. Right. So let's go to 6.1. And here you're supposed to start the cartoon below and answer the question that follows. Let's go to 6.1. Right. When will the manager choose to use a straight salary method? Right. So when it is used in team selling, team selling, It is also used in missionary selling. And also it is used in high season selling. Is now industries. And also use it in routine selling, as well as when a firm wants to enter a new geographical location or area, or when introducing a new product. Lastly, to compensate, can use it to compensate a sales trainee until your commissions are adequate, until your commission are adequate to sustain him. Until the compensation or your commission is adequate to sustain him. Right. And then 6.2. 6.2. Right. What are the objectives of a compensation plan that consider the needs of both parties from the company's point of view? What are the objectives of a compensation plan that consider the needs of both parties from the company's point of view? Right. So what are the objectives? Right. One, to motivate sales staff. They want to motivate sales staff. Two, they will want to attract and maintain a competent sales staff. Attract and maintain a competent sales force. And also to control sales force activities. They might use it to, one of the objectives is to control sales force activities, right? As well as to assist the company, in meeting its sales objectives. And so these are the objectives: to motivate sales staff, to attract and maintain a competent sales force, to control sales force activities, to assist the company in meeting its sales objectives. So let's go to 6.3. Describe 4 situations in which you would use straight commission. Straight commission. Right. So it can also be used in the direct selling industry. 6.3. Right. It can be used in the direct, selling activity. It can also be used where high levels of personal persuasion and it can also be used in situations whereby there is need for high levels of personal persuasion and initiative. Right. Where a high level of personal, and initiative is required can also be used for newly established companies. Can be used in newly established companies. Right. It can also be used in companies that does not afford basic salaries. Used with company that does not afford basic salaries. Right. And also, we can also use the where customer require minimum after self-service. Where customers require minimum after sales service. So this is question 4, 3.4. 3.3. Let's go to 3.4. State 4 aims of on-the-job training. So we're going to list aims of on-the-job training. Aims of on-the-job training. Right. It is personal training, It is personal training. Right, whereby catering for individual needs. Therefore, catering for individual needs. Right. Right. And also deficiencies in a salesperson can be identified. Approach can identified can be identified immediately. And also it saves time and cost. It saves time and cost. Right. So you can find that on-job training has a longer lasting effect. There's a longer lasting effects than centralized training. Right. And also, lastly, you can find that it reinforces the formal theological and theoretical training. It reinforces the formal theoretical training. Received by trainee, by the trainee. Let's go to 6.5. Discuss decentralized training locations. Discuss decentralized training locations. So you can find that with the decentralized training locations, right? Techniques is used by many or most companies. Techniques is used by most companies. True, it takes place further in the field. Takes place further in the field and can be done only by the sales expert. In the field and can be done by any sales expert. Right. And then you can find that it involves a small number of trainees. 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 Right? And then you can find that trainee is usually accompanied on the first few calls to be observed and to gain first-hand information. Right? So, about how well he has mastered the classroom theory. Right. Let's move on to 6.6. 6.6. 6.6. Discuss two focus areas in the sales training program for new sales person. So we're going to discuss two focus areas, right? Two focus areas, right? So the first one that I'm going to discuss is knowledge about the market. Knowledge about the market. Knowledge about the market. The knowledge of the market. Right. So we are talking about knowledge, information about customer requirements, customer needs, the requirements of the customers, the age of the customers, and also the location of the customers, etc. Supposed to know this knowledge, right? And then the second one is knowledge of the selling process. Knowledge of the selling process. We're saying a sales person should know the basic steps, the approach, the sales presentation, right? Also evaluation and follow-up. Should know the basic steps. Should also know the approach. Should also know the sales presentation. How to close, how to do close selling, sales close, follow-up, should know how to do follow-up, right, and evaluation. Right. So thank you so much for your time. Please don't forget to subscribe, right, so that we can bring more content, right? So thank you so much for your time. Have a good day.